Hello, and thank you for joining me today for another episode of We Are ISACA. Today, Abbas Kudrati joins from Australia, and Joseph Kachiliko joins from the UAE. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Megan.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
So glad you could join me today. Absolutely. So neither of you are originally from where you currently reside. Joseph, can you tell us where you're from and how you got to be where you are?
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. So I'm from Zambia, which is it's in the southern part of Africa, and I recently moved to the UAE barely a year ago, in March last year. And I think so I still transitioned within the line of service that the kind of work that I was doing before in Zambia, which is IT audit. Thanks.
All right, and Abbas, how about you? How'd you end up in Australia?
I lived in India. I lived in India. I lived in Middle East for 14 years, but around 10 years back, I decided to migrate here to this beautiful country, Australia, and specifically Melbourne City. So yeah, it's been here for close to 10 years. This is my new home now. I live here as a citizen of Australia.
I love Australia. It's such a beautiful place. It's so far away from me, but it's such a beautiful place. So let's jump right in. Joseph, I know you gave a TedX talk, which is something that I think is super cool. And I have two questions for you about that. The first is, what was the focus of your talk? And second, very selfishly for me, is what was the preparation like for a TEDx talk? So why don't you tell us first about the focus and then what it was like to prep for it?
Well, yeah, sure. So the focus was around data science, but not from a very technical angle, but something that an everyday person would relate to. And of course, knowing to say the TEDx platform or the main TED Talks as well, all about sharing inspiring ideas that almost every single person would easily understand. So I try to bring out how and why it's actually important, like in the world that we're living in today, for everyone to have or to begin developing a certain level of interest in obtaining data literacy. From my talk, I brought out how that is actually something that is quite relevant in the future that we're heading into now.
And did you talk about sugar or something? Wasn't there some focus on putting sugar into your body and how like how that affects your body? I'd be in big trouble, by the way.
Yeah, I think that was one funny part that I brought in. So I tried bringing it out like from a very applicable angle. So in terms of like my daily work, I would work with data, but then for something that every single person would understand, I brought out how as part of just my personal routine, I normally keep trackers of different things to help me actually pick out certain patterns in like my own body cues. So I shared an interesting trend that I noticed, like from my usage of sugar. So like I would record each time, like when I'm stressed, and especially knowing to say my line of work, which is audit, can be at times, it has seasons when work becomes very busy. So during that time, and because I was actually like recording my usage every single time, I used sugar because it's something that easily finishes, like as compared to maybe like other kitchen supplies that I would have. So I got to notice a certain pattern where as work got tougher, and if I was working from home, and especially like that was during a time of COVID, where we as a world were actually in between working from home and working from the office. So I noticed that pattern where when I'm anxious, I'd actually get to use more sugar, and then when I'm back in the office, like I'd literally like focus, and I'd actually use very, very like small amounts of sugar. But by usage of sugar, I mean making coffee, having cereal and all that. So have more meals when I'm home and anxious.
I don't know, Abbas, would you eat a lot of sugar if you were sitting at home and anxious?
Oh, I'm not a sugar, but I eat lots of nuts. I have a lot of nuts. Coming from Middle East, similar to Joseph, getting used to those almonds and cashews and pistachios, always hogging on them.
That's what I was eating before this was cashews. So I was like, I'm just going to eat some of these. So Joseph, what was the preparation like to give a TEDx talk? I mean, I've read about it online. It seems like it's very intimidating. And maybe that's why not a lot of people actually go through the process. But what was that like?
Yeah, it is actually quite a strenuous process. So we recorded in May. The whole preparation began somewhere around February. So like we had 3 levels of interviews where your subject, like your point of discussion is questioned from different angles. And then finally you get paired with a coach who then helps you to like refine your idea. So they don't edit anything in terms of what you've done, but then they just help you bring it out in a way that would make sense to different types of audience that would actually be there. So that's something where like the deadlines would be quite tight. So maybe like within 3 days notice you'd get to receive the next update to say, okay, you need to submit this. And then I think the whole preparation process was quite it was quite involving. So I actually had to then bring in like certain counters to help me meet those targets, because I had to. It was almost like a full job interview that was then prolonged over periods of months. So I had to bring in friends to keep me accountable. Like to listen to my my practice, like every now and then when I needed to submit a certain deliverable, and that way I would always manage to then submit, because I knew to say I already scheduled someone else to listen in. And I think that's what helped me finally meet all those milestones and get to share my TEDx talk.
Awesome. Well done on doing that. Abbas, your passion appears to be more in writing, because you've written 3 best-selling books. How long does it take you to write a book? And because I look at them and I look at authors and I think, how do you do this? It would take me a lifetime to write 1 book. And what inspired you to write not only 1, but 3?
Yep. So I was equally on the same boat, right? So writing is not never used to be my forte as such. But it happened to be that during COVID, when world was locked down, and I picked up a new hobby of riding a motorbike actually. And within 3 months of riding a motorbike, I had a crash and I broke my left leg. So I was completely bed rest for 3 months. And one of my friends reached out to me that, hey, I'm writing a book on a threat hunting. Why don't you write me a couple of chapters and become a co-author in that? I said, I have nothing else to do in the world, and I always wanted to write, but wanted somebody to push me on that. And here you go. I started writing 1 chapter, 2 chapters, 3 chapters. I enjoyed it. We finished the book in around 7 months between 3 authors. And I said, I think I want to have my own book as an author. So again, partnered with another friend. And second book actually took time because I had to do a lot of research on a topic. It almost took 9 months to write, around 300 pages and all the things, including case studies, and another 3 months for printing. So it approximately goes to around 9 to 12 months of an end-to-end process. But it's very rewarding. You know, people look at you as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert. You get invited to lots of conferences, including ISACA CACs and local chapter. They want to hear what are your thoughts and how you end up writing such a 300 odd pages on a particular topic. So right. Yeah, I got hooked into it. Many other people reached out to me, we also want to write. I said, okay, you have an idea, let's co-author. So first book, second book, third book, and I already have 3 other books in pipeline which are coming soon.
So I love that both of your stories actually talk about how it's other people kind of keeping you motivated and, you know, inspired and keep on point. Yes, you've got to do this. So Joseph, you told me that you're focused on human-centered technology. And I find those words very interesting in a combination of ways, because human technology they seem to be opposites. What specifically helps keep you connected to yourself and to other people?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, it's an inner belief that technology can be more, and it can actually bring more meaning at a personal level. Having worked, I think for the last 4 years, in a corporate organization, I feel there's certain times where like there's a lot of good that is out there that organizations get to offer, but then because we sort of don't understand that at the personal level in terms of how it would actually help us, we tend to look down upon such. So I feel like there's more that could be achieved. And from that end, then I began trying to find ways of actually bringing people to realize, say, like, technology is actually there to save us. Like, it's not the other way around. It's not there to make life difficult for us. So when I did a course in humane technology, that was last year, and before I'd done a certification in human-centered design, what I got to realize was currently we sort of tend to lean towards exploiting people's personal weaknesses, rather to say. So you'd find to say, okay, maybe like I love eating chocolate, so I'll get to see more adverts around that, but get to see very few adverts that talk about encouraging you to work out. So like there's a lot of growth there that is could actually help us use technology from that end of improving human lives and enforcing the right habits.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you struggle with this, but I fall victim to many Instagram advertisements because they know me so well. It's terrifying. But I'll be like, I need this, and I'll order it, and I need this, and I'll order it. But I'm starting to feel a little bit like I am addicted to my phone. And it's been a lot of self-reflection of like, what do I need to do? Do I need to keep this in my bedroom all day so that I don't go look at it? Because I'm going to look up something real quick. And then 20 minutes later, I'm standing there leaning against the door in my house, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I think there's a fine line between that human-centered technology and having it benefit us, as opposed to just sucking us in and losing all hope. Do you have any recommendations on how I could get not addicted to my phone or to chocolate for that matter?
Yeah, so actually what I actually did for myself was, because like after I moved here, shops were very close to me as compared to back in Zambia. So what I did was I just created a simple form. I used Google. So I created a Google form where I was able to then I would record each time I went out running, like to work out. And then I would also record each time I went to buy like unnecessary stuff, like from the grocery store, and I was almost beginning to create that habit of whenever I knock off, I'd stop by the shop, maybe buy some candy or just some simple foods, and then carry it with me like back into my apartment. So to then just stop that habit, I just started recording. So I knew to say, like mentally, I knew to say, oh, okay, so like this single bad habit is actually like it's being noted, it's being recorded together with the good stuff. So I automatically began doing less of like the weaker habits, and I began then working more towards like running, and that's just simply because I was recording that. Then I then later got to realize like more patterns from that. And yeah, I feel like we were all like, of course, like humans are just like creatures of habits. So it's something as simple as a form, regardless of like which source of the form could be, like could actually help us do that. Even a notepad could be something that could be useful, and then we can then later on go into using more complex solutions.
So Abbas, what about you? Do you have anything where you're like, that's a habit I'd like to break? I wonder if there's a way I can use technology to help me break that habit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm similar to you, Megan. I'm also like very much connected to technology, always having a smartwatch and a phone and all. So I wear a smartwatch and keep phone while I'm working, but once after 5 o'clock, I try to remove my watch and keep it away. Because even if I don't have a phone, this fellow keeps pinging me. There is a message to check. Just keep it away from me, not get distracted. Especially going out with family and all, I don't wear this watch. I have a normal watch, analog, the old-fashioned one. So just not to get distracted on that side. But it all comes to self-discipline, as Joseph was talking about, right? How you can self-discipline yourself, keep away from the distractions, and slowly get rid of these old habits and cultivate new habits. Or we call it a replacement habit, as he said, right? Rather than going for workout, pick up something on the way, pick up something healthy on the way if what you need it, and tick box your fall. I like that idea what Joseph shared.
Yeah, Agreed. Okay. So Abbas, you're very involved with the ISACA Melbourne chapter, I know, from an academic perspective. What's it like to be involved with ISACA student groups at universities? I mean, obviously they're super into technology, but what is it like to interact with them on a more regular basis in their space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have, first of all, I had heaps of benefits just by being connected with ISACA, because there are lots of opportunities, and we talk about that later on. But going to university as a professor, because as you know, I'm a part-time professor as well in La Trobe University and Deakin University. I work there as well as an industry professor. So when I go and speak to those students, they are not aware about that, what opportunities they have. One, for volunteering. Second, for finding a mentor. And third, being for networking, especially into the GRC and security space, because ISACA is everything about security, governance, risk, compliance, and now privacy as well. And when you're studying cybersecurity, you need to know all these areas. And why I like them to be connected, because a lot of international students comes to this country, Australia, for various studies, I think, and they have a dream of, okay, once I finish my study, I want to stay here and find a job and settle in this beautiful country. And the only way they can do is if they know people and if they are connected. So by forming those ISACA students chapter along with other chapter leaders here in Australia, in Melbourne specifically, because I live here, we went to universities and showed them the advantage. One, how professors get access to all the good material and certification training and things like that from ISACA. Second, how students can get benefit by engaging the chapter leaders, by engaging the university industry professionals who can come here as a guest lecturer, and so they can get networking and get connected, and they would find internship and maybe a job later on once they finish on that. And these certification which ISACA have it really complements with what they study within the university. They are studying risk management, so why don't you study CISA and say risk? They're studying governance, risk, and compliance. Why can't they do CISA? Because there's a huge opportunity for an IT auditor and GRC professionals in the country and even internationally. So by sharing these benefits and reaping those benefits from ISACA, students group is really was very beneficial for all the students. They get to take a leadership role within the chapter. They get to network. They get to be connected with industry people. They learn from others, people from industry, and many other benefits. I can go on and talk about that.
How many universities are you working with in Melbourne?
So we have 4, RMIT University, Swinburne University, La Trobe University, and Deakin University. Only in Melbourne. We have
Right.
4 students chapter, and there are a couple of others in New South Wales and other cities as well.
Right. Yeah, I know that we have a big student group presence in Australia. Because you're right, once you get there, it's really hard to want to leave. It really is. It's such a lovely place. So I kind of want to close out our time together talking about, as you mentioned, mentorship and involvement with younger people, finding ways to engage with them in a way that resonates with them. I think, just by looking, I can tell Joseph is pretty young. And so you're both involved in mentoring. And I think it's a word that can seem daunting to people, both potential mentors and mentees. So Joseph, you provided mentorship via the Women in Technology Network, and Abbas, you've been part of ISACA's relatively new mentorship program. So how and why did each of you decide to get involved, and why would you recommend someone be a mentor or a mentee? Why do you think that will make a difference to them? So Joseph, let's start with you about why you decided to get involved.
All right, sure, thanks. So it was an opportunity that allowed me to still contribute back to Africa remotely, despite moving away from the continent. So I found it quite interesting and actually enticing for myself, especially that before I was actually helping lead an artificial intelligence community back in my country, Zambia. So when the opportunity came up, I saw the main why was also because of the gap that we currently have. I'm not too sure in other parts of the world, but at least for Africa, there's a very huge gap between female technology experts and male technology experts. So to help bridge that gap, I thought I could actually help by being of service to the younger ladies that wanted to also grow their careers within IT.
It's excellent. Props to you for doing that. I think it's fantastic, especially since you're doing a lot of it remotely. And I know at this point it's been a lot easier. So Abbas, you're mentoring through the ISACA membership program, or the ISACA mentorship program, sorry. How did you get involved in that? And then what kind of people have you been mentoring? Where have they been located?
Yeah. So honestly, mentoring is something which is very close to my heart, because I feel that if I had a mentor at an early stage of my career, I would have been at a different place or a much better place. Of course, I'm at a better place, but much earlier in my career, I would have been reached to the heights where I wanted to go. So I always felt that everyone should have a mentor in their life, irrespective. Not only 1, 2, 3, depending upon what you want to achieve out of mentor and mentorship program. And I've been doing mentoring as once I moved to Australia. All the universities here have a industry mentoring program. So after I moved here to Australia, I signed up with RMIT, Swinburne, Deakin, and La Trobe University as an industry mentor. And I get lots of students being matched, and I spend a couple of hours every Friday in my office. I invite them to my office, and they can come and sit with me and ask me questions, and we go for 4, 5, 6 weeks of mentoring program. And they end up sometimes having a summer internship job with me in my company as well. So it was a lot of beneficial for them. And after joining Microsoft, I also joined Microsoft internal career coaching and mentoring program, where lots of new joiners, as well as those who are looking for a career change or a role change within Microsoft, I help them understanding what they can do and how they can do. So when I saw ISACA starting a program for mentorship, immediately I jumped on it. I applied my credential on them, and I was immediately accepted as a mentor. And as soon as my profile was active, flood of mentees started reaching me out that we would like to connect with you to learn more about your journey and things like that. But of course, there was a set process. So my very first mentor was somebody from the US. I think, again, she was from California, into a GRC space. And she come from an Asian background. So she said, I'm struggling in my workplace. I want to have a career change from GRC to security. And we went on for almost 6 weeks, continuous discussion on a weekly basis. But her mindset was completely changed. We were able to unlock a lot of other opportunity than just within the company and just within the security. And it was really rewardful, and she was thanking me over the things and even sent me an Amazon gift card, which I'm not supposed to accept it, but she insisted, just a token of appreciation for helping her, And the relationship continued. We became a lifelong friend. It's like we connected on LinkedIn. We talk about various things way forward as well.
That's amazing.
Rewarding for both.
We won't tell anyone that you got the Amazon gift card. So I have 2 questions for you guys. The first is, how many people do you think you've mentored over the passage of time? Joseph, how many do you think you've mentored? Good guess.
Okay, I think around maybe 6. I'm still
okay. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, mentoring is a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of investment. And so, I think that's, and I can tell that you're young, so lots of time left to mentor. And Abbas, how about you? How many have you mentored?
I have done a lot. I've been doing for a while, so I would say easily about 80, 90.
Wow. That's amazing. There you go, Joseph. Now you have a goal.
I have a framework which I follow. So it's a very framework oriented. There's a set guidance similar to what ISACA has created. So I have my own version of it. And I took some training as well, how to become a mentor.
Right.
So I'm into that as a part of giving back to the society.
Okay, this is the most important question that I'm going to ask either of you. And you don't know it's coming. You ready?
Yeah.
You could pick one kind of candy to eat for the rest of your life. You can't eat any other candy, just one type. What is it going to be?
Well, for me, there is a candy especially in India, because I grew up in India, and that used to be my favorite. Whenever I cry, my dad used to give me that candy. It's called 5-Star. It's from a company called Cadbury, but it's a very Indian version of it. It's a Cadbury 5-Star, so it's only available in India. So that was my favorite one. Whenever I cry, I used to have that, so I can have it anytime you give me today.
I'm going to have to Google what it is. Is it chocolate-based?
Yeah, it's a candy bar. It's a Cadbury.
Okay.
It's from Cadbury.
Right. Joseph?
I think I'd go with chocolate.
Any kind of chocolate? Any specific kind? Like just a chocolate bar or?
I think the Snickers bar, because it's very small and portable. Like you can always like tuck it along and carry it. Yeah.
Seriously. A Snickers bar to me is like the best protein bar ever. I'm like, this is perfect. I get the sugar, I get the chocolate, I get the peanuts, yeah, it's great. No, I'm with you. Snickers. And a Snickers, you can get anywhere in the world, right? It's the same thing everywhere. Oh, yeah. That's funny. All right. Well, sugar aside, thank you guys for your time today. I really appreciate it. Before we go, I'd like you all to stay tuned as Sri Srinivasa from the Silicon Valley chapter performs for you in both English and Tamil. Sri has created 100 audiobooks to benefit differently abled people. His goal is to digitize and make rich Indian literature available to all. So take it away, Sri.
Hi, my name is Sri Srinivasa from ISACA Silicon Valley chapter. I'm a voice actor. Today I'm going to perform 2 voice rendering, one in English and one in my mother tongue Tamil. The first one is Sattva Rajas Tamas, Legend of Kanishka, the commoner king and his crusade of faith, authored by Vivek Wagle. It's a battlefield scenario between 2 kings, Jayavant, who's the current king, and Kanishka, who's the righteous king because he's a great warrior. Hear me loud and clear, O Jayavant, shouted Kanishka. I'm Kanishka. I have suffered long through your deceit. I was compelled to leave this kingdom for the safety of my people. I have lived in the jungles for the last few years while you have sat on the Manukeshwar throne and exploited the people of this kingdom. It was I who visited your arena some moons ago for the tournament under the name of Kailasha. You failed to recognize me, but I have not forgotten you, O Jayavant. Neither have I forgiven your misdeeds. I have now returned to serve my people to the day I die. I appeal to you, return my kingdom. I will ensure a peaceful handover, and you will be treated in a manner befitting the son of a great ruler. Jayavant fumed at the suggestion. Even if it's you, O Kanishka, how dare you come here claiming this realm to be yours? It has been mine from the day I was born. It was my father's before me and his father's before him. What right do you have over it? You're not part of us. You're not royal or even of noble birth. You are but the son of a poor ascetic who served my father, surviving on his generosity. Instead of being grateful to the land that fed you, you are like a snake that spits venom. Leave this land forever, Kanishka. Remain in the jungle, as befits your station. You and your band of thieves. You have no noble lineage or right to rule this kingdom. Even in the face of such provocation, Kanishka was measured in his reply. I am the appointed upholder of the noble principles laid down by your father, the great King Sarthak, O Jayavant. He proclaimed that the king would not be chosen for his birth or royal blood. He valued the virtues of dharma, honesty, compassion, and selflessness. It is your misfortune, O Jayavant, that despite being fathered by such a great man, you do not possess even the shadow of his qualities. It is regrettable that he was compelled to look beyond his own blood for a successor. It must have been a great sorrow to know that his own son were unfit to rule. Oh, Jayavant, if you had imbibed some of his virtues, we would not be standing here debating our privileges. Jayavant's head throbbed in anger as rage coursed through his body. This upstart has a tongue as sharp as his arrows. When I get my hands on him, I will make him pay for every word he has spoken. The next one I will do in my mother tongue, Tamil. Here is a historical novel written by the great author Amarar Kalki. The book name is Ponniyin Selvan. This was written during the 1950s, and even today, even after 70 plus years, it's been super popular. So my goal is to make this book available to the differently abled people as well as to youngsters who are not well versed with. I created this as the world's first digitized version of Ponniyin Selvan for 77 hours in the year 2010 and 2011. மக்களே வணக்கம். இது அமரர் கல்கியின் பொன்னியின் செல்வன். இது ஸ்ரீ ஸ்ரீனிவாசா. இது உங்கள் முன்னால் பொன்னியின் செல்வன். ஆழ்வானுக்கு ஆபத்து. ஆழ்வார்க்கடியானும் பூங்குழலியும் மலையடிவாரத்து மரத்தினடியில் உட்கார்ந்தார்கள். பூங்குழலி, குற்றம் செய்தவர்களை தண்டிப்பதற்கு நாம் யார்? அதற்கு கடவுள் இருக்கிறார். வைஷ்ணவரே, அதோ உள்ள பாதகர்களில் ஒருவன் மேல் மாடியிலிருந்து வேலை எறிந்து அன்பே உருவான என் அத்தையை கொன்றான். வாயினால் பேசத் தெரியாதவளும் ஒருவருக்கும் ஒரு தீங்கும் நினையாதவளும் வாழ்க்கையெல்லாம் துர்பாக்கியசாலியாக இருந்தவளுமான ஒரு பேதை பெண்ணை கொன்றான். சக்கரவர்த்தியும் அவருடைய ராணிமார்களும் தஞ்சை கோட்டை அதிகாரியான சின்ன பழுவேட்டரையரும் பார்த்து கொண்டிருந்தார்கள். ஆயினும் அவனை தப்பி ஓடும்படி விட்டுவிட்டார்கள். நன்றி, வணக்கம். Thank you all for the opportunity. I thank the ISACA organization for ISACA Got Talent initiative. This is Sri Srinivasa.
Amazing, Sri. Your humor and passion radiates through the screen. Thank you again to our guests, Abbas, Joseph, and Sri. And thank you to you for joining us for another episode of We Are ISACA. Until next time, keep taking excellent care of yourselves and one another. Abbas and Joseph, have a great day. Thank you so much for your help.